Do you suffer from the debilitating symptoms of chronic pain, swelling, and loss of joint motion due to arthritis? Are you taking drugs like Celebrex and Vioxx or other super aspirin prescriptions? If you are, you're increasing the risk of heart attack and stroke by up to 50%. This is Dr. Tom Roselle, host of Dr. Tom Roselle Live Sundays at 12 noon. Why live with pain or the dangerous side effects of drugs when the doctors at the Roselle Center for Healing, practicing 21st century integrative medicine, can help you experience relief like never before? Simple, safe, chiropractic, acupuncture, and nutritional care can provide significant relief from arthritic pain in less than 6 weeks. More than 70% of our patients experience a return to life far beyond their expectations. Give yourself the best gift possible, freedom from arthritic pain, naturally. Call today to schedule an appointment. Call 703-698-7117 or visit online at rosellecare.com.
Dr. Tom Roselle Live right now on 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL.
Welcome to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. I'm live in studio waiting for Sandy to make its impact and here to take your questions on any aspect of holistic care. That means how we approach your health, your problems without drugs, without surgery. So if you had a problem, you've tried, you applied, this is what you do. You give me a call, 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-WMAL. Love to talk to you on any subject. Let's see if we can put the fire out for you, make you healthier than you thought you probably could be, and that's why we do this program, is to give you the more important insights to put control in your hands, and life is, and your health is, a do-it-yourself program. So make sure you understand that, and that's what we have to get done. 888-630-9625. Have several things I want to talk to you about. We're going to start out with things that are in the news today, and subject that I'd like to cover periodically, simply because there's so much that happens continually that has to be sifted through and kind of waded through, and all the hype, all the advertising, all the marketing, and it's such a beautiful thing in this country. We can sell anything, no matter what it is, but you need to know the truth, and there's so many things that you can do to help yourself without purchasing things. For example, what am I talking about? Well, an interesting article that was published in the Journal of Nutrition, 2012, July 18th edition, and it's about Mediterranean diet. And those of you who know me well, and those of you who've listened to me, know that I have that attachment. I'm, from a Sicilian family, first generation, and I like Mediterranean food, obviously. Well, in an article published in the Journal of Nutrition, there were a bunch of researchers that came out with a significant report about the Mediterranean diet and its effect on middle-aged men and women. And the Mediterranean diet was evaluated over a period of a bunch of years, and what they found is that there was a tremendous decreased risk of dying of any type of disease function and disease process if you really adhere to a Mediterranean type of diet. Well, they evaluated over 15,500 people, and there was a Spanish university that was involved and participated in this project. And the project began, and the enrollment began in 1999. So it's been out there for, 13, 14 years. Subjects in the study had an average age of 38 years old. And at the time that they began the investigation, they were free from cardiovascular disease, relative to traditional evaluation, diabetes, or cancer. And they were given dietary questionnaires, and they completed them at the beginning of the study and during the follow-up areas, and they were pledged to adhering to this Mediterranean profile, this Mediterranean diet. So 125 deaths occurred between 1999 and 2010 when the study was finally evaluated. Now, remember, we started out with 15,535 people. And when you do the math on that, we're talking about, not a whole lot of people. Compared with other people who had a low adherence to the Mediterranean diet, moderate adherence to the Mediterranean diet, it was associated with a 42% lower adjusted risk of dying, and a higher adherence had a 62% lower risk. So even if you begin to incorporate Mediterranean principles, now what does that mean really? Well, Mediterranean diet is high fiber, but it's not from wheat, it's not from grains. Heart-healthy eating plans were instituted, and that means tons of vegetables, a lot of fruit, good fats, monosaturated fats like olive oil, and nuts and fish, and smaller amounts of meat. You know, when I go to my father's village in Sicily, and I get into the mountains where, you know, it hasn't been really touched by modern ingenuity on a great scale. When you eat a piece of meat, first it's free range, it's usually lamb, and it's a very small piece. It's not these pound steaks that we get when we go out. It's not the steak and potato type of diet. It's a lot of vegetables, a little bit of meat. I had a great aunt that I met when I was 16 years old. At the time, she was 93 years old, and she was working every day. She had a little bit of arthritis in her knees, but she had a moderate diet, and she actually had a glass of wine with her evening meal, and she ate vegetables and nuts and legumes, and the grains that she ate were sprouted types of grains and so forth. Well, this woman, at 93, and then when she died at 100, ate only this type of diet, worked every day, drank water from the mountain streams, and she was very stalwart. And when she did pass on, she was cooking that evening for her family, and she was tired at the meal, and she said, listen, you know, I'm going to go lay down on the sofa. And she excused herself, kissed her family, said goodnight, laid down on the sofa in this big great room that they had, and she was gone. She passed on. Wouldn't it be wonderful to be able to do that? Wouldn't it be great to be able to step up to a level like that and, you know, just kind of say, you know, I'm done, and not have any maladies and so forth? It's like, wow, so many people don't have that opportunity. Another study that was recently published, it was talking about high antioxidant diets, and it could lower the risk of pancreatic cancers. And those of you who know about, you know, the devastation that comes about when you're diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, I don't know if it's it's a brain thing because we have the 100th monkey effect. You know, we believe what we hear, so it becomes real. Well, when you're diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, particularly the proximal head of the pancreas, you don't have a great outcome that's in store for you. But what the researchers described in this article in Journal of Gut, by the way, interesting journal, right, reveals an association between higher levels of dietary antioxidants and lower risk of cancer of the pancreas. So we keep going back to these vegetables and fruits and, you know, things that are natural. And a team from the University of East Anglia and the University of Cambridge evaluated data from 23,658 participants. Now, these are not small studies. These aren't studies of 50 people or 100 people or 200. These are huge, huge studies. And they found, you know, that people who were consuming high levels of nutrients, dense nutrients, particularly had high levels of vitamin C, E, selenium, and zinc in them. Blood samples from these folks and follow-up studies relative to demises and so forth showed a dramatically lower level of pancreatic cancer compared to subjects who had very low levels of these things. Matter of fact, the top 75% of these people studied had a 67% lower risk of developing pancreatic cancer. We need to really understand that we can control outcome, that we are our diets, we are our environments, we are the people that are the external representation of all of those things that we do up until that moment in time when we're diagnosed with whatever it is that we've been diagnosed at. 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-WMAL. I have a lot to talk to you about today, but let's go to the phones. Jeff, how can I help you?
Hi there.
Hi, Jeff.
I was calling to ask one question about high-protein, low-carb diet I'm about ready to embark upon for a short period of time, like 2 months or 3 months. Do you think that can be done without too much impact to the body in a negative way?
Well, the answer is yes and no. It depends on what you're going to try to do with it and the quality of food that you're putting in. Your diet should always be relatively strong in protein. Now, what that means is that depending on your workout levels, depending on trying to spare muscle mass and so forth, but the thing of it is that you're going to, if you just ate proteins, like the old Atkins diet,
right,
and you devoid yourself of anything else, you're going to cause an acidic reaction in your body that's going to actually tear you up and cause high levels of inflammatory response within the body. You've got to buffer it with vegetables. If you eat, now, what's your body weight?
about 200.
Okay, so, you're not super heavy. How tall are you, Jeff?
5'10".
Okay, so you're not that heavy. I mean, it depends on your muscle mass comparison. I'm probably an inch shorter than you are, and I weigh about 5 pounds heavier than you are, but my body fat level is around probably 13%, 14%. So it depends on muscle mass and body fat composition. So having said that, let me guide you on this. If you're going to do something to trigger weight loss, and that's your whole principle of doing it, I would be very careful. I would make sure that you're eating small amounts of protein many times a day. I wouldn't stick to red meats. I would go to fish and chicken and turkey and things of that nature. But I would also make sure that you're getting about 9 servings of vegetables a day. A serving is a half of a cup. So you can spread that out. You can have a salad with it. You have, some steamed broccoli, some steamed asparagus. One of the ways that Sue and I do our vegetables every night is we get a frying pan and we put about an inch or less of water in it. And then, for example, like asparagus, we lay it at the bottom of the pan after we get the water boiling, and we put the cover on it. And as soon as they turn green, a deep green, we take them out and we put olive oil and garlic on top of them and serve them that way. But you have to make sure that you get your vegetables with this, because otherwise you're going to cause some problems with your body. You don't want to do that. You want to do it the right way, get your body used to eating, but do it in a natural way.
Very good. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome, Jeff. Thanks for calling. Mike, how can I help you?
Dr. Roselle, years ago I had a herniated disc in the lower back, and I still have back pain from it. And lately, in the last 2 months or so, when I get up in the morning, the soles of my feet are burning. It feels like they're on fire, and they tingle all day long when walking on them. Is it possible that the back problem is causing the foot problem?
Absolutely possible. Mike, let me ask you a couple questions. What type of intervention did you have at the time that the disc was ruptured or herniated?
Bed rest.
Okay, so it was never touched otherwise?
No. My father at the time wouldn't let them operate because they were going through the stomach to get to the back then. Okay, well, your father was probably a very intuitive, right-on guy, because once you do surgery, unless it's for heroic measures, you're going to have problems. Now, the underlying situation is now you've got foot pain. And as a result of foot pain, you have to ask the question, why is it there to begin with? So, you have to rule out many things. You have to rule out diabetes, which can cause, peripheral neuropathies, which is a numbness and tingling and so forth and burning. Yeah, my A1C is fine.
Okay. So what's your blood sugar level itself, though?
All my labs come back in really good shape. My cholesterol's down, and HDL is. Are you taking
any medications, Mike?
No, I take vitamins and supplements.
Okay, good. All right, good. So when I ask you the questions, you got to remember, I look at laboratory values differently. I look at functional medicine levels. I'll give you a quick example. A white blood count on traditional guidelines in today's laboratory levels are from 4,000 up to, in some labs, 11,000. Functional medicine says that anything that's under 5,000 habitually is a chronic immune suppressive condition, probably an infection. Anything that is above 8.5 is an immediate reaction to something that's going on in the environment, probably an infectious state. Now, so I'm not telling you that has anything to do with you. I'm just telling you that we look at things a little differently. Now, having said that, to answer your question, could it in fact still be coming for your back? Absolutely. If the vertebrae and the muscle systems were never stabilized, if the vertebrae were not mechanically sound at the time, if the muscles were the antagonist-protagonist, means one muscle playing against the other, if they're not balanced properly, then the problem with the spinal system will continue to break down over time. Subsequently, you can end up with narrowing of the opening where the nerve comes through. It's called stenosis. And you can have the problem that you're talking about, which is very diagnostic. But having said that, there's lots that can be done for that as well. A combination of manual manipulation, dietary change, acupuncture, low-energy light laser. We've seen tremendous turnarounds in this type of problem. It takes time simply because you have to now begin to rebuild and repair tissue and mechanically make the body stronger. Mike, or Steve, I hope that helps you, or Michael rather, sorry. I hope that helps you. We've got to take a break for some very important information. If I can be useful to you, please get a hold of me off air. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. I'm here at 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-WMAL. Love to talk to you. Any subject you have in mind, perhaps you've had a problem, you've tried, you've applied, well, this is your opportunity. Let's see if we can fix it for you or give you some data that will make you stronger, healthier than you've ever been before. Want to remind you, we have something very special coming up, something that we're very, very proud of. On November the 27th at 7:30 p.m. in the Washington Marketplace, WIDA is going to do a 90-minute documentary. They're going to present a 90-minute documentary on our concept of Ageless Health, the same title of my book, Ageless Health. Health is a do-it-yourself program. It's beyond amazing. It portrays 6 patients with medical cases that have been given up by standard allopathic procedures, and under the guidance of the very, very capable hands of the doctors in our office, these people have basically been turned around 100%, and in one case where a woman has multiple sclerosis, she's in a full state of remission, which they told her would never happen. So if you want to see something beautiful, you want to see something that we're proud of, put it on the calendar, November the 27th at 7:30 p.m. Turn your television on to WIDA and watch Ageless Health, and I think that you're going to be amazed. You're going to be impacted by how you really can change virtually anything using the principles of structural, chemical, emotional that we teach about on this program and that we align ourselves with in our practice. November the 27th. Let us know what you think. You can always write me at rosellecare.com. That's ROSELLECARE. Want to introduce a new website to you as well. It's called drtomroselle.com. DRTOMROSELLE.com. We've designed this website so you can learn, so you can listen to lectures, so you can download webinars and ask questions and sign up for emails and so forth. This is a site that we're very proud of because it positions the one piece that we never want to let go of, and that's educating you to take control of your life, your health, at the highest level that you possibly can. That's why we do Dr. Tom Roselle Live. That's why we do the seminars. That's why we do our Ageless Health. That's why we do our in-house continuing education programs every year. It's for your benefit. It's to disseminate information as quickly as we possibly can. Let's go back a little bit to In the News, and we have other people on the line, and we're going to get to you. We're going to come back and answer more phone calls after the halfway mark, after the break. But I want to share something with you. You know, a lot of you like to grill, and you're out there, and, you know, the summertime, and even now you have stuff on the grill constantly. But there was a significant study that was done that investigated the association between different types of meats, but also how they were prepared. And what they found is that there's a dramatic increased risk of prostate cancer in those men who either do a lot of frying or do a lot of grilling. And when you grill outside and you let the fat of the meat drop down on the coals and it sears and comes back up and sticks to the meat and you eat that, you increase your risk of oxidative damage to the tissue, but particularly it seems to be to the prostate. Interesting article, and you need to go in, and you can go into the oxfordjournals.org and you can find it. It was one of these things that was just recently published, August the 20th, 2012. And it's basically supports everything that we've been talking about for a long time. Don't fry your food. Don't do it, and grill very, very occasionally, only on a once-in-a-while basis, because you increase your risk of carcinogenic metabolites that cause problems. And this study was about prostate, but it does cause problems throughout the body. When you can control something, when you can make a difference in your own health, do so. Be smart. Step up. Get the data and say, well, I want to anyway. Well, you know what? When you want to, you're just putting the gun up against your head, spinning the revolver, and firing until finally one day one of these things are going to go off, and then you reach that place in life where you wonder, Well, how did that happen to me? Why me? Well, I'm telling you why you. I'm telling you what happens. That's why we do this program. And when we come back after the news and after some very important messages, we're going to talk a little bit more about some interesting things. DHA is one of them, and protective fatty acid that can stop you from adult onset dementia. So don't go away. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. I'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. I am in studio waiting for Sandy to approach. 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-WMAL. Love to talk to you on any subject you have in mind. We're sitting here kind of, figuring out what the weather's going to be like the rest of you, and hopefully you've taken some precautions. But you know what? It's not too difficult to do that. We're at a great time of the year. It's not going to get super cold. You can wrap up with some blankets and, make sure that you have water, and it's really that simple. We're going to be in a great place. You can go out, the stores will get things that they need to get. It's not going to be like we're going to have a blizzard where nobody can get to you after a while. It's just that we may be without electricity. So take those precautions and make sure you have a first aid kit and just hunker down, read a good book. And, if the good book should be, by the way, Ageless Health. Health is a do-it-yourself program. My book, if you haven't read it yet, it'll give you the guidelines. It's a treatise, basically, on how to achieve ultimate wellness. And by the way, if you'd like to find a copy of that, you can go directly to our website at rosellecare.com. That's ROSELLECARE. And go to our iStore, and you'll find it there. And in addition to finding it there, you'll find the audio version there. And if you like to get the package of the book and the audio version, there's a discount for you. You can pick that. Also, as you go through the audio store, by the way, we have several things there. We have something called Third Rock Sunblock, which if you're traveling and you'd like to, have something that actually strengthens the immune system, that's hypoallergenic, that's one. We have some organic green teas. People ask me all the time, what green tea do you recommend? Well, this is one of them. You'll find that there. And also a soap that is great for the skin. It has Ganoderm in it, which is reishi spore, which is red mushroom. And what does that do? Well, let me tell you what it does. That in combination with grapeseed and glutathione will detoxify the system, will actually take some blemishes away over a period of time, but more importantly, can help fight different types of skin cancers. The information is out there. You can check it out, and you can go online and so forth. Also, Aquasana filters you'll find throughout our website. We arranged a very, very special deal for you through Aquasana. They will give you a 20% discount because you're Dr. Tom Roselle listeners, and you order off of our website, and then you can get anyplace else. And Claire's Corporation has their Q-Link. You have to order directly from them. The Q-Link, as you're aware of, filters incoming electromagnetic fields, so it protects you from the damage of the constant hotbox onslaught that we're in this area. 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. Steve, how can I help you? Thank you for calling, my friend.
Hey, doctor. Thanks for taking my call, and congratulations on the PBS special coming up.
Thank you.
Listen, I'd like to ask you a question about the vegetables. Eating a lot of vegetables. I'm in a situation where, for years, I've eaten a lot of vegetables, and I'm at the point now where literally broccoli, spinach, and cauliflower, I can hardly down them. So what I'd like to ask you is, and I take green powder. I use a green powder for auric, increase the auric levels and all that kind of thing. But I know nothing can beat just eating these kinds of things. But I tell you what, I've reached the point where I'm literally, it's really hard for me to get it down in almost any form. So, are there? What suggestions do you have? Any suggestions or alternative vegetables?
Well, see, this is where Sue should be on the program, because she could give you a laundry list of things and tell you where to go shopping and how to find them. But here's the deal with it: you've got to incorporate as many different vegetables as you can, but make them so they taste good, not just steamed. You can stir fry them. There's all kinds of herbs that you can put on them that give them flavor. You can use small pieces, as they do in Asia, which I learned when I was there in the spring. Small pieces of meat, whether it's chicken or fowl or fish, and not a lot of it, and stir that up so it gives it a little different flavor. You can put things. One of my favorite dinners that we make at home is Sue gets organic tofu, and she marinates it during the day, and she cooks hard-cut brown rice and some type of green. Sometimes it's spinach, and she sautés that, and she puts it. She puts the spinach over the top of the brown rice, and then she puts the marinated tofu, which she broils, by the way, afterwards, and puts that on top of that. And that makes for it. Just you have to give yourself all kinds of variety and not do it the same way. This time of the year, right now at our house, we're doing different types of winter squashes, and we bake them. We just put them in time bake in the oven, and we'll put some organic, a very, very small pat of organic butter on it, and sometimes we put honey on it instead, and we serve it that way with a vegetable. Our salads are not just lettuce; they have tons of different things that we change from day to day. We make up our own dressings with olive oil and spices, and sometimes we go to grapeseed oil, and I'll get innovative with some organic mustards and things of that nature. But everything that we do has to be quick, simply because of the fact that obviously I'm not home much, and neither is she. So we've had to get innovative. But if you write Sue, go to rosellecare.com, just drop her a note, and ask her for 2-3 suggestions. I'm sure she'll do that. But it's giving yourself multiple varieties of things and not getting stuck in the same thing, and getting away from the things that you eat every day, of the broccoli and the cauliflower and so forth. Say, okay, I'm not going to do that for a month. I'm going to do something else.
Well, what are good substitutes for broccoli, cauliflower, and spinach?
There's everything from any kind of dark green vegetable that you want. If you're looking for something with hard substance, Brussels sprouts are great. I like them anyway. Beans, when they're available, you get those this time of the year. Squashes and zucchini, even artichokes. And I don't know if you have had artichokes where you bake them and you can take the leaves and just kind of skin them with your teeth, and you can put all kinds of spices and so forth in it to make them flavorful. So we could actually talk about that the whole program, but there are many different things. But like I said, drop Sue a note. She'll give you 4 or 5 things, and it's variety. It's different things. Go into Whole Foods and stand there and look at the vegetable area and say, okay, what haven't I had here? What can I try? And add that. You can do vegetable stews with a little bit of meat flavorings, or something that you like to give it a little different twist. But that's about as good as I can give you right now.
Okay. Thanks very much.
You're welcome, Steve. Take care. 888-630-9625. 888-630-WMAL. The variety is definitely the spice of life when it comes to cooking vegetables. If you're stuck with one, if you only like peas and carrots and celery, well, then you got a problem. But, in my house, my children growing up, we had the 2-bite rule. No matter what was on the table, you had to try it, and Sue made it different ways, and she would come up with all kinds of different concoctions, and you just have to get innovative, and you have to be creative. Cooking is not that difficult if you're willing to plan a little bit and try a little bit. And when you have schedules as busy as mine is and Sue's is, you have to figure out different ways of cooking different things, because it does get boring after a while. The same old over and over and over again. But there's so many things out there that you just haven't tried. Those of you who can eat mushrooms that don't have mold and fungus problems, you can stir up mushrooms with different types of things like bok choy and rutabaga and so forth, and you can serve that with something. You go to the Indian red rices and the hard-cut rices. Stay away from white rice, obviously. Glycemic indexes are too high, and you don't want to have those all the time. 888-630-9625. We have some other calls. We're going to go to those in a second. Promise you we talk about an interesting subject a little bit, and it's called your brain. And it's not your brain on drugs, it's your brain in the absence of fatty acids and what happens to it. And the problem over time is that we go into things called age-related senile dementia, and unfortunately a lot of people go into straight-out Alzheimer's. So is there anything that we can do to stop that, to prevent it, to make a difference? And the short answer is yes. And when it comes to brain function, it's the same thing as any other tissue. We have to protect it. We have to protect it from dropping down. And what they found is that people who had low intakes of omega-3 fatty acids had a much higher risk of developing age-related dementia problems. The brain as we age, DHA levels normally drop off, and just because we're burning them up, we're trying to protect oxidative stress within our body. And there's this area called the hippocampus, which is so important to neurological processing in our body. It's the conductor, if you will. It's the orchestrator. It tells everybody what to do. And in older subjects, they found is that if you can normalize the DHEA content within the hippocampal area of the brain, life gets different. You begin to turn things around. But DHA is definitely a brain food. And the highest concentrations of DHEA in the body are found in the neurological tissue, but in the brain, in the hippocampal area. And that tells you something. So when we talk about you need to have high levels of omega-3 fatty acids for a lot of different things, the brain is probably the first guy that steps up. DHA deficiencies show cognitive problems and increased risk for Alzheimer's. In children with low levels of DHEA, they are these kids who have learning problems. They can't focus. They can't concentrate. And in our practice, Dr. Jennifer Sims is our specialist in children. And when she takes these kids and she does some minor changes, she gets them off of gluten, which, by the way, the gluten affects the brain dramatically, and puts them on DHA, increases their omega-3s, does some cranial and upper cervical manipulation. These kids change almost overnight. It's amazing. Absolutely, positively amazing. So you have to understand, we have to make sure that we're getting the things that we need and we're getting them on a regular basis. Bill, thank you for holding. How can I help you, sir?
Thanks for taking my call, doctor. I told her call screener. She didn't quite understand. There was epididymitis. I have a chronic recurrent epididymitis problem, and I've had it treated with antibiotics many times, and it came back I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and it keeps me awake at night. And it's on the left side, and also I have stiffness in the left leg and muscle cramping and so on in the left leg.
When did you first notice it?
It's something that you mean it's this latest occurrence, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, about a couple of weeks ago, I guess, and just slowly started coming on.
Okay.
Now it's got to the point where it keeps me awake at night.
All right. For our listeners, so they understand what we're talking about the structure that makes up the sac around the testicles and the supporting structures that have to do with sperm production within the male testicle. Now, you've been all kinds of things have been ruled out. I would have to guess, right? There's no history of STD or anything of that nature.
No, nothing that no.
Okay. And have they done the studies? Have they gone in and specifically looked for those things?
I think my doctor, back in 5-6 years ago, did it. I moved. I was living in another country, and I was getting regular care there. But I haven't had regular studies done here. The thing is, I don't have medical insurance. No.
Okay. Well, the first thing that I would have you do is change, just to challenge it. You change your dietary patterns. Get off of anything that has red meat, no alcohol, no coffee, and increase your water consumption dramatically. And see if that makes a difference. If there's no shift whatsoever, then it tells me that there's an underlying inflammatory reaction that may be due to an underlying infection that has to be dealt with. But try that, and then let me know. Get a hold of me off air. Go to rosellecare.com. Let me know what's going on, and then I'll tell you if this is not working, and then I'll recommend a couple people that can do the diagnostics on you, and then I'll tell you what steps to take after that. Is that fair?
Sounds great. Thanks a million.
You're welcome, Bill. Thank you for calling. It's one of those things that you have to specifically rule out whether or not you have an infection. And if the infection is low-lying, if it's sitting there kind of stewing, then pretty soon it's going to raise its ugly head based on environment, the terrain, that means you, and what you put into it. We've got to take a break. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. Don't go away. Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You've been listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. I've been in studio at 888-630-WMAL. And we're sitting here waiting for Sandy to hit, and hopefully you're prepared and you're ready to bunker down or hunker down and, kind of watch yourself for the next couple days. I don't think it's going to be as bad as everybody's predicting, but nevertheless, we're going to get a whole lot of rain, so stay away from the river, stay away from those low-lying areas, and, if you do lose your power, well, get a good book out. Start reading. And, write your memoirs. Get the diary out. Do a little brain thing. Grab a hold of somebody that you want to talk to and just sit and chit-chat and discuss something other than the world problems. After 9 days from now, we will know what the playing field is politically, and then you can worry then, but not now. Don't worry. So we got to defend the brain, we talked about, with omega-3 fatty acids, and, there's a lot of different places to get them. Fish is one, but if you're not a fish eater, then you've got to get it from an extract, and that's fish oil, or you can also get it from algae. So there's a lot of good substances out there. Just make sure that you have the protection. Well, how much do you need? Well, maybe 3 grams a day. That's really what's called for, and you'll find that if you get somewhere around 3 grams, that you're going to have pretty good protection from inflammatory disease of the brain. And is it the only piece? Absolutely not, but it's one that you really can't do without. DHA stimulates physical changes that we talked about relative to memory and also learning patterns and so forth. When DHA goes down, your ability to assimilate information, your ability to learn anything kind of goes out the window. So you have to make sure that you're protected adequately. You keep your levels up at a higher level and do the other things. It's like stay away from the things that I've always told you to stay away from. Sugar, sodas, coffee, teas, fast food, fried foods, alcohol. Gluten, additives, preservatives, the list goes on. Don't eat a whole lot of red meat. Make sure when you do, it's free-ranged and it's organic. Make sure that you stay away from, as far as I'm concerned, the dirtiest animal in the world, which is the pig, no pork. Nitrates are huge in that animal, and they affect all kinds of things in your body, as well as giving you the greatest potential for parasites. Don't eat raw fish because of the same thing. So cook your food. Eat your vegetables slightly cooked so you can get all the enzymes out of it. Chew your food and take your time. We're here every Sunday trying to bring you the most important information, stimulate your mind, make you think for a change, and not let somebody else do it to you, because life is a do-it-to-yourself. Don't put it in somebody else's hands. I'm here next week at 12 noon, and you can find me all the time at Roselle Center for Healing. See you next week. Bye.
Did you know that breast cancer is on the rise and that routine annual mammograms can increase radiation exposure to breast tissue 1,000 times over a chest X-ray? The result could increase the risk of developing breast cancer. Now, consider a simple, non-invasive, and totally safe adjunct medical procedure approved by the FDA, which can detect evidence of breast cancer 5 to 8 years before it can be visualized on a mammogram. Infrared thermographic imaging can accurately detect initial signs of breast cancer, such as increased blood supply and metabolic rate, which is recorded as heat. Why expose yourself to radiation when accurate and safe medical detection is available? Call Thermography Centers at 888-485-7736. That's 888-485-7736. And for more information, visit thermographycenters.com.
The Roselle Center for Healing is a proud supporter of breast cancer awareness and reminds you to conduct a monthly breast self-examination and include a thermographic breast scan as part of your annual wellness checkup.